Chris Brown owes the IRS $4 million in taxes. In this video, I am going to give you the breakdown on how Chris Brown possibly got himself into this mess and what he could have done to avoid getting himself into a tax slinky. Before we jump in, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any business-changing information. And if you want to make sure you never end up owing the IRS that much money, I suggest you stay until the end and I will tell you how to avoid tax problems. Let's get after it. American singer Chris Brown is said to be owing the Internal Revenue Service IRS around $4 million in taxes and has been hit with federal and state tax liens in the United States, according to TMZ. The 33-year-old music star was recently hit with 2 federal tax liens for taxes owed in 2022, including one for $2.2 million and another for $1,059,000+. In addition to the federal tax lien, Brown is also on the hook for a hefty sum to the state of California to the tune of almost $739,000, literally placing his tax bill at $4 million.
Damn, son.
You might be thinking to yourself, how did Chris get here? Well, here it is. He did not monitor his taxes all year long. There's so many taxes that we have to pay, and possibly he was not monitoring them. He didn't pay estimated taxes because when you owe that much in tax, you have to be filing taxes and paying all year long using the quarterly estimated payment dates, which are April 15th, June 15th, September 15th, and January 15th of the subsequent year. You may be thinking to yourself, what can he do now? What are Chris's options? How is he possibly going to get out of this situation? Number one, he can pay the tax bill in full with all the penalties and interest associated with the underpayment. That's always an option. Just pay what you owe. But many times people don't want to give all of that money over to the IRS at one time. So the second option is he could literally set up a payment plan, an installment agreement. An installment agreement is where you literally set up a payment plan with IRS. You come to an amount that you're willing to pay them every single month in installments, like a credit card bill. They're going to charge you interest. They're going to charge you penalties, but at least you are going to be in what we call voluntary compliance, meaning you're voluntary to make payments to them. They are not garnishing your wages, levying your bank account, and trying to take the money from you. You're voluntarily remitting the money to IRS. So that's one option. The third option would be to do an offer and compromise. An offer and compromise is where you go to the IRS and you say, hey, IRS, I cannot afford to pay you all of this money. This $4 million, I can't afford to pay it today, and I can't afford to pay it 5 years from now. So I want to compromise with you and ask, would you take a different amount? And so when you do an offer and compromise, you're going to go through some gyrations. You're going to have to fill out some financial statements. You're going to have to do some financial disclosure, but it might be in your best interest to see about doing an offer and compromise if you owe IRS tax that you really know I'm never going to be able to pay them with all the interest, all the penalties. It will never happen. IRS looks at a 5-year window, which is a 60-month period. They want to know how much could Chris Brown pay us if we look at his next 5 years, what he has on the books for concerts, what people may owe him, how much could we reasonably get? Then they evaluate that against how much you're willing to offer them in an offer and compromise. And you'll be surprised, a lot of people that owe taxes do offer and compromises, and they get out of paying that big tax amount. So that is something for Chris to consider. What if Chris Brown doesn't pay? What's going to happen to him now? Well, IRS has already filed tax liens. And let me explain to you what a tax lien is. A tax lien is a record that they file with the county recorder's office, letting everybody know who is going to pull your credit that you have a lien, that you owe money to somebody else. So what that does, that prevents you from being able to sell property or any of your assets and get the money in your pocket without IRS getting their money. So that's one thing that has already happened. The second thing that IRS could consider, they could seize his assets. To seize your assets means they're going to take your house, they're going to take your car, they're going to take your assets and liquidate them so that they can get their own money. That's what seizing assets mean, where IRS comes in and they're just going to take your stuff. Since you're not going to actually pay them, they will sell it off. IRS has auctions all the time to auction off people's property so that they can get their money, because IRS is about collecting that revenue for the government. Many of you might be asking, can IRS take his masters to his songs? My guess would be probably, because that would be an asset for which he's earning money on. IRS can also do what they call tills, meaning if people owe you money, they can go to those third parties and say, instead of paying Chris Brown, you're going to remit that money to IRS until we are fully paid. IRS has a lot of tools in its tool chest when it comes to collecting its money, and they will utilize their tools regardless of the name of the individual that is involved in this particular situation. IRS will contact people that owe money to Chris. They will go after third-party people and again, make sure that they get their money. You want to make sure that you do a tax projection before the end of the year. Don't wait to file your taxes and then find out that you owe money. When you are making money all year long as a self-employed person, whether you're a truck driver, a musician, an actor, a content manager, it is up to you to make sure that you're looking at your taxes all year and you're being mindful of what you owe. IRS does not play that game of ignorance is bliss. Absolutely not. Taxes is one of our biggest bills. It is one of the biggest expenses that we have as taxpayers. It makes sense that we put some energy on our taxes and that we're just not thinking about taxes come January through April. We need to be thinking about our taxes all year long, from January through December, to make sure before December 31st, you know exactly how much you owe and you have a game plan in place to pay the tax bill. Once you get behind on taxes, it is really difficult to catch up on your taxes. And here's the thing. I want to make sure you understand how not to get into this situation. Make sure that you set yourself a reminder. When you get out of Q3 and you come into October 1st of every single year, you need to estimate your tax bill. That's right. Estimate your tax bill and say to yourself, this is how much I owe. Now, what can I do to reduce it? That's what the wealthy people do. That's what people with money do. That's what people with assets do. They're always thinking about their taxes and they're always employing other people to help them reduce their tax bill. Because here's the thing, people, you're either going to give it to the IRS or you're going to spend some time with somebody to get educated so you can give them a little money and keep the rest in your pocket. And once you know better, you absolutely have to do better. You do not want to end up in tax trouble like Chris Brown. That's why I'm going to tell you to like, comment, and subscribe so I can keep you updated on all things tax.